right. We all got tricked into content addiction.
Why do we all need constant stimulation? All day, forever.
Uh, it didn't used to be like this. I remember, well, actually, even when I was a little kid, I needed like constant stimulation of like, because like even when you think of like a little kid, it's like a little kid is always like, oh, I need attention. I need to be doing something. Bright colors, shiny things, noises, jingling a shiny ring of keys in front of them to get their attention. But even like as an adult, an adult, it's like whenever I'm like consuming content, like I need to have like I have like two monitors here, so I'm like playing a game and I'm like watching something on the side or whatever. So it's like this is like a growing thing that's like I've seen and I've noticed happening to not only me but like my parents or whatever. It's like my mom likes to like read books or whatever, but she doesn't just like to read books. She likes to read a book with a TV on, but the TV's muted. Um, so yeah, and then sometimes put the book down and then mess with her phone and then go back to reading and so on and so forth. So you're constantly stimulated. You constantly got that dopamine going. So this is a thing.
We scroll through Twitter while we watch TV.
Yeah.
We listen to podcasts while we work on our computers. There are even TikToks that are split screen videos, so you can watch a TikTok while you watch a TikTok. It's
Jesus.
crazy. I wish I could say I was above this stuff, but I'm definitely not. I engage as much as anyone, probably more. So when I say we, I do mean we. So how did we get here? Why can't we experience a moment of silence without being overwhelmed by anxiety? Why do we always need to be watching or listening to something? What happened? The whole dopamine hit thing is the quickest.
Well, why? It's like everybody's more connected now more than ever. Like every big company, every social media thing, every internet thing, every game or whatever is like everybody is fighting for your attention because your attention is what drives up sales. We got to watch those ads. You got to watch those videos. You got to get those viewer numbers up. You got to get those advertiser watch hours up because if those things are in your mind, you're going to be more likely to watch them, more likely to engage, and so on and so forth. And because everybody's more, interconnected, it's more easy for them to like reach out and influence you.
Explanation, and one that you may be thinking of right now. Before I started making this video, I assumed it to be true, but turns out, while still relevant, the idea of a quick dopamine fix is kind of a myth, and we'll get into that and a whole lot more. See, the truth has to do with a misunderstanding about dopamine, decreasing attention spans, and a huge failed promise. And if things are difficult now, where are we going with all of this? Can new forms of stimulation just keep appearing forever to compete for our attention? There are a lot of pieces to put together, but that's exactly what we're going to do. Common knowledge dictates that we want constant stimulation because we're seeking quick hits of dopamine. We're all addicted to this so-called pleasure chemical, and every time we find a funny video or an arousing image, we get our fix. Then we go back for more and more and more and more until infinity. This idea ties dopamine and self-improvement up in a nice little clickable package.
I don't know if anybody's really getting any self-improvement, just scrolling through Twitter or scrolling through TikTok or like YouTube shorts or whatever. I don't know if anybody's getting any self-improvement off that. Like, let's be honest.
Influencers and whoever can tell you that the key to improving happiness is by resetting your dopamine. That's simple. That's easy, but it's not totally true.
No, I don't know. I've never done like a dopamine reset thing or whatever. Like if I want to turn my brain off, I'll just stop. I'll just get off the computer for a little bit or whatever. And then I don't know. I've also heard this whole like argument of like, how much consuming are you doing versus how much creating are you doing? If you're consuming too much content or I don't know, anything really, you're just watching and you're not really doing anything, you're just getting that quick fix or whatever, then that's going to lead to you not creating anything, like having a hobby or something where like you're trying to improve in like something, you know?
Truth is more complicated. Dopamine is not released as a pleasure chemical. Dopamine is fired off before the pleasure is experienced as an anticipation chemical. The reward is not really relevant to dopamine release. Evolutionarily, this is intended to help with a try again mentality.
Mm.
If you're hunting and you miss your quarry, dopamine ensures that the attempt itself encourages you to try again.
Oh,
Scientifically,
okay.
near misses actually produce even more dopamine than getting your desired result. Say you got $5 every time you pressed a button. Anticipation of each $5 reward would release dopamine. But then imagine if the button started giving you $100 for each press. You'd get even.
Bro, is this what $100 bill looks like in modern day, like 2023? Holy shit! Like, what is happening to like the bills in the U.S. or whatever? There's like a rainbow of colors right here. You know, you got like a blue, or you got like blue. What is this, like pink or purpley stuff right here? This is like green. There's like some gold things right here. There's like red. I guess this is yellow. Like, and then you got the orange. There's like literally every color on this bill. Like, wow.
More dopamine for a little while before eventually declining back down to the $5 dopamine level, despite still getting $100 on each press. At that point, if the button switched back to $5 bills, your dopamine levels would decline even further to a place below that original $5 level.
Oh, dang.
If dopamine was a pleasure chemical, you would get X amount of dopamine for the $5, then more for the $100, then right back down to X for the $5.
All right.
But that's not what happens. The $5 button loses its ability to create dopamine as it becomes your new baseline.
Oh.
This shows that dopamine is not tied to the intrinsic value of the reward, but the difference between your reward and your default state. $5 is only nice, basically until you have $5. So think about taking a walk. A walk provides a reward compared to our baseline of staying inside. It used to, anyways. Just walking outside in nature, alone in silence, was great for a while. But then we were offered a podcast we could listen to while we took our walk.
Oh, here we go.
It's even better. So we did that until that got boring. But then we could scroll through TikTok while we listen to a podcast while we take a walk. That's amazing. But now taking a walk, maybe our $5 button, is shockingly boring.
Oh, dang.
Unfortunately, this has no end. The human brain is not wired to find satisfaction. Because of our dopamine systems, as we consume more, we actually desire more. It's perhaps one of our most fatal flaws. So eventually we have to be constantly stimulated because we've had our $5 and then our $100 and then our $1,000. And now that $5, whether it's taking a walk, sitting in a park, cooking breakfast, or whatever, it's just not enough.
Dang. So this seems pretty true for the most part. Like, if all the things that he's saying are like they're like most likely true or whatever, and I'll agree with him. If this is like, is there any possible way to like if these are like the averages and this is like the predicted thing that is going to happen, is there anything that like a human can do to like mitigate it as much? So like with the whole $5 $100 thing, like if you're hitting the button and you know you got like X level of dopamine for the $5 and then every so often you get $100, then do you think would be like any way to just go back to the 5 and just still be like content? I mean, essentially, you know, we're talking like all about all of these things in like a vacuum or whatever. But I don't know. I would like to think that like it's not is like so simple and it's a little bit more complex. So like, I don't know. I would like to think that like, hey, I'm getting $5. Like I'm hitting that button, I'm getting $5. But hey, randomly I'll get $100. But if I just go back to hitting that $5 button, I'm still gonna be happy. Who gives a shit if I randomly get another 100? I'm still getting a $5. I'm still hitting a $5 button that gives me $5. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's like wishful thinking or whatever.
So how do we fix it? Well, that's complicated. Because to fix the problem, we need a full picture of the diagnosis. And
Ooh.
dopamine alone is helpful, but does not give us this full picture. Our attention spans are getting demonstrably shorter. Anecdotally, I think we could all probably agree with this. But there have been numerous studies that prove this phenomenon more scientifically. Indeed, our attention spans have gotten shorter as the amount of information in the world has grown. We only have so much real estate available in our minds, but now there are endless acres of information to consume. The problem is that instead of just ignoring some stuff, we are convinced by ourselves, our peers, or culture at large to just fit everything into our brains. We are told by any number of these sources that we have to care about every single news item and current event.
Yeah, that's literally impossible. It is hard enough, and I'm just going to talk about this from like a United States perspective or whatever. It's hard enough just to live in the United States and to take care of yourself as like a regular person, all right? You know, you have to worry about yourself. You know, we can just go like inward to outward. You got to worry about yourself, where you're living, your transportation, you know, your family, your friends, all your bills. You know, you have to have food. You got to have water or whatever. You need to have things to survive. You know, you have your job. You have to have your hobbies, your mental state, so on and so forth. And with all those things, many things can go wrong with those things. So it's like, even with that, it's like you have to be like a kind of life mechanic, more or less. You know, if something happens, you know, what do we all do? Well, I'll just Google the answer, or I'll chat GPT the answer. You know, that seems to be the modern fix. Just Google it, just chat GPT it. Because there's too many things, and I didn't even mention like politics, religion, or anything crazy, you know, and that's a whole thing unto itself.
This is our modern obligation. This is FOMO, the fear of missing out. If we aren't up to date on everything, we are cruel or soulless or ignorant or all of the above. But at the same time, we still have our actual personal interests. There's endless information at our fingertips about things we genuinely do love. And why bother living if we can't pursue the things we enjoy? So we slowly decided to just make room for everything. In this amount of time, the real estate of our mind cannot and has not grown. Instead, it's just been divided into smaller and smaller pieces with every passing day.
Yeah.
When we pair this concept with the idea that the more we consume, the hungrier we get, it becomes really easy to understand why we all need constant stimulation.
Yeah.
But still, there remains one last piece of the puzzle.
A failed promise.
It was thought that technology would lighten our collective load. Robots, systems, computers, they were going to take some of the baggage off of our hands. But in reality, these things have taken our baggage only to replace it with, well, other baggage.
Yeah.
Technology has relieved us from a physical workload, but replaced it with a spiritual exhaustion.
Yeah. I mean, because, you know, utilizing technology, you can essentially track everything you're doing in your life. You know, whether or not you like actually do it is a whole nother thing. You know, just as an example, you can look at like MyFitnessPal, an app, you know, designed to track all the calories, micronutrients, macronutrients, so on and so forth, and just with like eating. All right. So you apply that concept or that app to like other things about your life, and it's like, whoa, there's like a ton of things to track. So it gets a little ridiculous at that point.
It has taken physical distance and replaced that with a new kind of division. Armed with all of the information in the universe, we were supposed to be absolved of ignorance. Instead, there is ignorance like never before.
Jesus.
We are forced to grapple with the effects of a failed promise brought on to us by a technocratic government, a capitalist system, and indeed, our own selves. I can't sit here on YouTube and seriously advocate for the downfall of modern technology, but I just wonder, when we get to a point where technology does more harm than good, how will we know?
That is a good question.
I don't have an answer to that question.
Neither do I. Probably when the robots start rebelling and there's a robot uprising, that's probably the time that we'll know. It's not a problem until it's a problem. That's been the general mantra of the United States.
Deep societal changes can happen slowly over time in a large-scale way. That's how we got here. We can recognize issues, vote based on these issues, and solve our problems together. But today, as an individual, right now, you cannot change the system you are facing. But you do have power. You have agency, because you can change how you function within that system. If you're looking for a solid, well-defined way to overcome these obstacles that I've spoken about, I'm sorry. This video cannot provide that. In fact, I don't think any video can provide that.
No.
We're all so different. We have so many different brain chemistries, lived experiences, cultural influences, and circumstances that there's no blanket remedy for basically any problem, this one very much included. Meditation works for a lot of people, but maybe not everyone. Abstaining from digital life, the same, could be good, but could be entirely unrealistic for any given person.
That is a kind of a joke at my job or whatever. A lot of the guys are like, yeah, if I win the lottery or whenever I retire, I'm going to go build a house out in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, and just completely disconnect from society. And I'm just like, no, you're not, dude. Shut up. And yeah, that's a thing that, some people can get away with it because they're doing that whole survivorship bias thing or whatever. And for the most part, like, it can work, but it takes like a monumental amount of like know-how.
The list of would-be remedies just goes on like that. So all I can do is provide my perspective, and maybe it will offer some value. But I do this bearing in mind that I have not yet won this battle. Fleeting moments of pleasure aren't real happiness. So it could be helpful to examine and maybe redefine what makes us profoundly and permanently happy. A person could seek those things and perhaps find joy in just the journey of discovering or accomplishing them. Consuming media is super easy, and change is really difficult. Changing this stuff specifically in this world is monumentally difficult. Again, I'm not even close to having done it. I ultimately think that during this type of change, every day will be a struggle. And you will fail, but every single day you can get up and try again.
That is true. Oh, dang. That was it? Huh. Yeah, that was a really great video. I like that. I have no idea about this channel, Horses. It's kind of a funny channel name or whatever. It's like just a singular word. But yeah, I thought this was great. Like, the whole being addicted to content and always needing to be stimulated, that is like a thing or whatever. And I mean, yeah, somebody can like, I mean, geez, even if I were to say like, oh, you gotta, eat healthy, go to the gym, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, even within doing like those tasks of like getting like, I don't know, mentally and physically healthier, it's like, even those can be like just another avenue to get like stimulated. Because like say, for example, if I go to the gym or something, I have earbuds in my ears at the gym. So I'm like, not only, pushing myself physically, I'm like scrolling through whatever social media I'm listening to music, during like the downtimes, and it's like I'm just still constantly stimulated or whatever. So even that is like, what he mentioned, like with the whole going for a walk and then listening to a podcast and then scrolling through your phone. It's like, how do you get away from it? It's hard. You just have to be, I don't know, just more aware of it, really. And then to just make a change yourself is really the thing that you have to do. So I don't know. you know, overall, I thought this was a great video. I'm interested in him. I thought this was good. So yeah, well, maybe I'll check him some more out from check out some more videos from horses or whatever. So yeah, that's about it. All right. So take it easy, guys. Later.